All right, welcome back, man. Thank you all for joining me. So, today we want to talk about how to invest in real estate, right? Because I know this has been one of the main things that has been an issue is that a lot of people want to get into real estate, but they don't understand or have the necessary guidance or tools to be able to help them understand real estate investing, right? So, not too long ago, I had wrote a book and with this ebook that I did, it's called Seven Steps to House Hacking. And I will drop the link for you um, in the chat so that you all will be able to get this book. But I'm going to go over a few things with you in this book. And the reason why I'm going to go over a few things with you that I wrote in this book is because for me, um, it's the power of understanding. It's the power of knowing, right? So if you can understand something and you can know something, that puts you in position to be much more so successful in whatever it is that you may be choosing to do. Now, this is not going to take long. I'm going to take about 15, 20 minutes of your time, but I want you to understand seven steps to house hacking. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, what is house hacking? Like, Jeremy, come on. Like, you always coming up with these different terms, these different words when it comes to real estate. But understanding house hacking is the first way for people who do not uh, understand real estate investing. But this is how a lot of people obtain properties quickly and easily. And this is just a little quick one on one. A lot of you may already know this, but most of you may not. Now, we've been focusing on how to live with zero expense for how long? Since what, last year, right? I literally been talking about how to live. I know with my students that I had last year, I taught them towards the middle part of their training how to focus on obtaining assets to where you can live with zero expense. And I'm gonna zoom in on this so that you all can see this. Now, this here is the table of contents, and these are a few things that I'm gonna go over with you. Now, this is gonna be a two-part video. Reason being because I want to keep your attention span long enough to where you can understand this information and come back and be able to process this, right? Um, and then it's going to be also the same thing in a second video, but we're going to go over this whole entire book. And also, like I said, if you want to purchase this book, it will be in the chat so that you'll be able to get it below. Now, this right here, we're going to talk about what is house hacking. Um, we're going to talk about figuring out the financing, and we're going to talk about finding the best property. That's what we're going to talk about today, right? So we're going to talk about those things real quick, and I want to go over um, and start with the introduction of house hacking so that you could understand exactly what it is and why people do it, right? So, understanding and knowing what is house hacking. House hacking is a real estate investing strategy through which investors earn rental income by renting out their primary residence. I'm going to say it again. House hacking is a real estate investing strategy through which investors earn rental income by renting out their primary residence. House hacking originated in its areas where it became too expensive to own a home and live comfortably. Now, how many of you have been in that position to where you wanted to own a home and live comfortably, but it's been like very difficult, right? We understand now in the times that we're moving in with interest rates going up and spiking up at 5.6.4%, right? We talked about this last week. This is historic. And they're continuing to rise, right? With 30-year fixed rates. Understanding these strategies right here is only going to help you, right? It's only going to help you. So, for people who really trying to live that lifestyle, this is for you, right? Now, homeowners found it too costly to live close to work in desirable areas, right, to be able to make their monthly mortgage payments with these type of homes. Now, their problem was living with one of their multi-unit spaces and leasing out the other units. This way, their expenses were offset by the income of their tenants' rent. House hacking a single family home is also a popular option for those who don't want to buy a multi-family property. Those of you who understand and know, I've been focused on multifamily. That's the fastest way that I told you to be able to get to the strategy of your 4-3-2-1, right? We talked about 4-3-2-1 a little bit on the last video, the last live that I did, where I told you the best thing to do is to obtain a quadruplex, triplex, duplex, then go and get your single family home. That is the multifamily strategy, right? That is the best way to seek uh, when you want to look how to get to living with zero expenses and getting to your dream home, and you not having to pay a dime for it, but just make one simple investment. It starts with multifamily, but we'll talk about that for another day. But I want you to understand house hacking today. Renting out one or more bedrooms, hacking the garage into a living space, or putting a tiny home on the premises are valid examples of house hacking. So understand and know what house hacking is. I when I go to Miami, and I be in Miami all the time, right? In Miami, because the mortgages are so expensive, right? Think about how expensive these mortgages are. These expenses are so crazy. It's people who paying $300,000-$400,000, uh, paying for $300,000-$400,000 properties, and their mortgages are ridiculous, right? And they're living in like houses as the size of this room, if not in a sense. We're talking like 1,200 square feet, you know, and they paying 300,000. So if they're paying 300,000 at 1,200 square feet, it's like, shoot, man, you know what I'm saying? You ain't really got no house to be living in. And then think about how hard it is to have jobs to be able to um, make that pay make sense, when you're living in those areas like a Miami. You know what I mean? So what people do in Miami to be able to survive, they house hack. I don't know if a lot of people who go to Miami, y'all go to the tourist side, right? Y'all always be at South Beach, those areas, but you never really go into the actual local areas, right? When you go into them local areas in the local parts of Broward County, local parts of Miami Beach, North Miami Beach, and Miami-Dade and things of those sorts, you see a lot of people house hacking Miami. You got cousins staying with aunties. I mean, with brothers staying with everybody stay with everybody because they finna make it make sense, right? Because the numbers don't never add up, and they be house hacking. You see about 4-5 cars to a house in Miami. No lie, y'all think I'm playing? Look it up. But let's talk about the finances, right? Let's get back to the finances, figuring out the finances, right? So understanding this, because of your status as an owner occupant, not only will you have access to conventional loans to be able to do this, guys, you may also have access to home buyer assistance as long as you live in one of your property's units. Now, this is getting into the multifamily investing of things. So when you get into the multifamily investing of things, if you get a multifamily property, say for instance, to be able to execute this type of strategy with house hacking, you can house hack really good with multifamily properties, right? So if you was to get a multifamily property and you lived in one of those properties, you can obtain a loan so much more easier to be able to get that property. So much so, I'll be able to dive in a little bit more detail in that. But for example, the Federal Housing Administration, the FHA loan allows multifamily properties with up to 4 units. It requires a down payment as low as 3.5% of the purchase price. So like I said, you can go and get a multifamily right now, 3.5% down with an FHA loan. And you can get this bad boy with 0% down. A lot of you looking for, how can I get it with no money down instead of me having to put down 3.5%? I'll tell you that at the end of this. The FHA 203K loan is great for investors who want to improve units before renting them out. I'm going to read that again. The FHA 203K loan is great for investors who want to improve units before renting them out. Find out if you qualify for any of these 12 ownership programs that I have listed right here. And we're going to go through these real quick. Programs and grants. Now, others may opt for the BRR method. That is the buy, rent, rehab, refinance, repeat, right? That's the BRRRR strategy. And investors, we drag it out like that, right? A lot of people play with it. I don't know if you all remember the rapper Gucci Man. Gucci Man used to do the BRRRR, right? And so when I got into real estate, that's what I used to be able to remember the BRRRR strategy on when I used to go out and think about deals with other investors who I was just going around with, almost working as like a, what would you call it, like an intern, right, in a sense, so that I could be able to learn the game, right? When I was going around, and I used to be like Burr, I used to yell out Burr every time I used to see a property that I would consider a Burr strategy. That's how I was always remembering, but that was just a little short story for myself. But getting back to this, others use this method to buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. That's the BRRRR strategy. You can repeat this method right here all day long, um, and really ball out. But the reason why I say don't invest into the BRRRR strategy right now is because we have to be focusing on mortgage rates, right? Those mortgage rates, those 30-year fixed rates are crazy right now. So when you get a method that's like this, you want to be able to fix the rate that's good enough to where it makes sense in your numbers with your homeowners when you allocate for your rent and when you're trying to pay off the mortgage. Now, if you understand and know, like, hey, I'd rather pay off this mortgage in 30 years, you know what I'm saying? And I'll take the highest of the percentage in order, I mean, of the interest to be able to do that, then okay, you do that, you know? But for those of you who want to be strategically smart within how you're doing this and going about doing this, look at the percentage of interest first. When you look at the percentage of interest first, if this is a solid deal and you understand and know this is a deal for me and I want to be able to move into this deal, then you move into um, executing out the strategy of the BRRRR method because the numbers make sense. But only tap into the BRRRR method when the numbers make sense. Not right now. Not right now. I tell a lot of people don't get into the BRRRR method of doing things right now because you're going to have to get into the rehabbing of the process, and then the renting and all of that sort. So you don't want to get into that and focusing on rehab. If you can go and find properties that need just a little rehab to where you can go and make those minor touches, cosmetic touch-ups and things of that sort, to where you don't have to bring in a whole team to be able to make those things happen, and where you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, on something that you could spend just a couple of thousand on, you know, just to touch up, a couple of hundred on to touch up, get some things going, because you have to think about it, it's a rental property, right? You want the rental property to be just turnkey ready. It don't have to be brand new model home ready. It has to be rental ready. And once you understand what rental ready is, then you know it makes it a lot more easier when you start figuring out how to be able to save and obtain and be able to execute deals like this. So let's look at some of these programs. So you got the FHA loan, you got the FHA 203K loan, you got the VA loan, you got the USDA loan, you got Good Neighbor Next Door HUD loan, you got the Native American Direct loan, you got the Energy Efficient Mortgage, you have local homeowner assistance programs, you have National Home Buyers Fund, you have the First Home Club, you have Home Path Ready Buyer, and you have Dollar Homes. Now there are also more resources available that I have on newlevelventures.com that you'll be able, if you go over there, you'll be able to get more of those. But being able to understand the financing is very key. Now I got about 5 minutes here and we're going to go over to finding the best properties, but being able to find those are very, very key. And what's key is this: understanding your situation. A lot of people want to move into things and not focus on how they can obtain things. You got to focus on how you can obtain things. First thing is, if you don't have any credit at all, period, get your credit fixed. If you don't have a way to get your credit fixed or repaired or restored, things of that sort, and you can't find nobody that's trustworthy, guess what? My team, they can handle that for you. I'll drop the link down in the description for you to be able to check out my team and what it is that we do on accrediting. But let's get away from that. Let's talk about the main thing. The main thing is finding these properties the best way, right? Because you're going to get your credit and stuff taken care of. I'm pretty sure people have, the unction of understanding and knowing that when you go out and you're trying to allocate properties and assets of this sort, you want to be able to have those small things in place, right? So let's get to finding the best properties. Now check this out. Now, when purchasing a multifamily property, you will want to have a rental property business owner's mindset. This is what I tell people. It's about your mind. It's about your mindset, right? So this means that the location is a critical, important factor to consider, as it will determine your purchase price, rent price, and desirability, population growth, job growth, everything, right? All of this, you have to think about all these different things, right? So anytime that you are focused as a beginner, you want to work with people who specialize in finding these type of units, because you don't want to waste money here, and we don't want to waste time. I tell people this all the time. Real estate agents can go and find you the deal, but it's best for you to do your own numbers on the deal, because a lot of real estate agents don't understand cash on cash return. I'm going to say this one more time. A real estate agent is good to go and find you a deal, but you have to think like an investor to understand and know that, hey, this real estate agent don't understand and know cash on cash return. And you can ask them that as a pre-op question, when you have them going out looking for properties. If you don't give people interviews, before they go out and do work or do business for you, and you're not able to ask them the specific questions to see if they even have the knowledge or if they possess the skill set to even go out and get what it is that you want. Because you got to think about it here. You're making a big investment purchase, so you want somebody to be able to go out and look for the things specifically of what you're asking for. Those are some of the questions that you ask them as an investor. I ask realtors this all the time. Hey, do you understand cash on cash return? When they tell me no, it's nothing else for us to talk about. For me, because I could go and find my own properties. This is me, but with beginners, I want beginners to understand, if you focus more on the numbers and then you allow them to go and find a property, you just have your inspection sheet on what it is that you need them to be able to make sure is in order and intact, while you be focused on your numbers. That's the main thing. So today we understand the type of properties it is that we have to get right, which are multifamily properties, right? We understand we want to get multifamily properties. We want to find the best multifamily properties. We're going to get ourselves a realtor, a nice realtor who can find these type of deals, right? If you can find them for yourself, that's good. If you can find them for yourself. Most people who take my course, they're able to go and find these type of deals and these type of properties themselves. Why? Because I teach them to be able to understand when they do walkthroughs and properties, what to actually look for, what it is that, how to allocate the numbers and break down the numbers, right? Because when you bring the numbers in, you want to be able to break these numbers down so that the numbers can make sense, right? So that you can get to your ending number at the end of the day. And it's the same thing as it pertains to multifamily properties. Any of these strategies it is that we teach, whether it's house hacking, whether it's wholesale, whether it's real estate investing, advanced from on 2.0 stage, where you're dealing with apartment complexes and things of that sort. It's different, but at the end of the day, everything is all the same when it comes down to crunching up the numbers. The financing, Most people have big problems, huge problems when it comes down to the financing, right? So we understand what house hacking is, right? We understand our ways of finding the best property, which we're going to dive in a little bit more into finding the best property, right? Because I know I only talked about just finding a multifamily property and getting a realtor, but I didn't dive too much into finding the best properties. But the best properties, guys, to be able to execute these type of deals are not just single family homes, but investments multifamily investments, because the more doors that you can obtain, the faster your cash flow can build up. And the faster your cash flow can build up, the faster you can make it to wealth. Well, I'll say this: the faster that your cash flow can build up, the faster that you will be able to live a zero expense lifestyle. That means you could have a door to pay for your cars. You could have a door that pay for your mortgage. You could have a door to pay for all your liabilities, whatever it is that you decide to go and get. You could have a door for that. Why not? I mean, it makes sense to me, right? So we understand house hacking. We understand the financing, right? And we know that there's programs that we can use for 0% down. 0% down. We talked about 3.5% today, but there is a 0% down program that you can use. And we will be um, delivering that special program out to you. I did give you one half of what that program takes in consideration, and that is you living in that property for 1 year. You have to live in that property 1 year in order to be able to execute this strategy for the 0% down, which I will release in after the part 2 video. But those of you who want to get this book and you want to be able to go ahead and read ahead and things of that sort, check out the link that's in the description below. That link right there will be able to lead you directly to this book, so you'll be able to purchase this book and you'll be able to help yourself understand house hacking a whole lot better. And hopefully tonight this puts you one step closer to understanding what house hacking is, and we will dive into the second part of this video later on Thursday. I look forward to seeing you all. I can't wait. It's your boy Jeremy. I'm signing out. Y'all have a wonderful night. Peace.